Don't do this before you buy your first or next Airbnb. I'm going to walk through in this video the fundamental mistakes that I see thousands of investors making because they're taking the easy way out. But before I jump in, if you're new to this channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Bill Faith. I've been investing into short-term rentals for a decade now. I've got a $22 million portfolio and I've done 39 startups with 31 exits and over $1 billion in sales. And what I do is I apply the standard business concepts, sales, marketing, finance, accounting, back office that have helped me grow 20, 30, and even $50 million companies to my Airbnb portfolio. And I'm going to share some of these with you today. So a lot of this is about risk mitigation, but it's also about making sure that you find the right property, buy the right property. So I'm going to start off with number one. The number one thing that you want to do is to buy your first short-term rental, vacation rental, Airbnb, whatever you want to call it, or your next one in an LLC if you can. Now, there's a lot of times that you may be doing a second home loan and you've got to close in your personal name. If you do that, you want to close on it and then actually, depending on the state, to avoid a transaction tax, move it into a land trust and then move it into an LLC. This is going to provide you with anonymity if you do have an issue on your property and give you a little bit of asset protection. If you want to learn more about this, make sure that you follow Jeff Hampton at STR Law Guys. He is the expert in our industry of setting this up, and he is my attorney that has done a lot of content on my super team on how to get the most out of your asset protection. So having your LLC or your short-term rental in an LLC will help you with that protection if you do have an issue. Number two, on top of that LLC, you want to have a liability policy, an umbrella. And this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, whether this is going to be your first Airbnb or it's your 20th. So you think about an organizational chart, right? You have your LLC for each property down at the bottom. Then right above that, I want a liability policy. So every one of my short-term rentals that I own in an LLC, I have a $2 million liability policy above it. And I typically get those from Proper Insurance, which specializes in short-term rental insurance. And it runs me about $1,100 to $1,400 a year, which is very, very inexpensive for the protection that it gives to me. Well, a lot of you will say, well, there's liability insurance inside of my core policy. There is, but that's typically going to be maxed out at $300,000 to $500,000. And I want to have additional on top of that. So if I can go from $500,000 to having a $2 million umbrella for only $1,300, that is a no-brainer investment. Those are the first two things that you want to look at. Number three is going to be taking that property, putting it into the LLC, but actually having its own chart of accounts in a QuickBooks, having its own bank account. We don't want to ever commingle funds. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I used to do it, and a lot of us do it when we first get started. This is what I'm talking about, treating this like an individual business. If you commingle funds, you do have an accident, they're going to be able to come after your personal funds that you're commingling with, or two Airbnbs together. One Airbnb and one LLC with one bank account with one debit card. Keep everything completely separate. That's the third one. Look, are you a short-term rental owner just like me? You could be a co-host, maybe even a property manager, and you struggle with the back end, the bookkeeping, the credit card reconciliation. Well, if you're not familiar with Baselane, you need to take a look at them because that's completely changed my life and my relationship with QuickBooks. I don't know if I should say that or not, but literally it's the bane of my existence. Baselane has AI that's implemented, and it's made mine and my wife's, Bria's, life so much easier to take care of all of our properties from a co-hosting side to the side that we own. It's an absolute game changer, and literally it's saving us thousands of dollars a month based on our time to have to reconcile our books. The AI feature is just absolutely sick inside of Baselane. Plus they have banking that goes along with it, and they give us 3.35% interest. They have debit cards. So now we can follow the asset protection and silo everything, right? Banking, bookkeeping, all in one spot. Dedicated debit card, 3.35%. What are you waiting for? I switched to Baselane, and I recommend you do too. Number four, we're going to talk about is getting into how do you make money? Well, you have to make sure before you purchase that first property or your next property when you're underwriting, and you can get my pro forma to help you underwrite. I'm going to link that right down in the description below. You need to estimate what your design cost is going to be after you close. So a lot of people think, well, hey, I've got $100,000. I'm going to buy a $500,000 property and put 20% down. Well, you got to factor in closing costs, and you also got to factor in your design costs and furnishing costs after that. So a standard rule rule of thumb for me is that if I have $100,000, I need at least 25 to 30% of what I'm putting down on the property to go in and upgrade it afterwards if you want to compete. The reason for this is, you know, there's a bifurcation that's happening in our society today and in our economy to where the top 10% are generating the majority of the revenue, and then that middle portion is being driven down to the bottom 10%. And it's literally that 80% in the middle that's not making money anymore. And that's what's happening here. Those middle of the road, the average, the good properties in the short-term rental space are the ones that are getting squeezed. So you've either got to go down and literally be a volume-based and occupancy-based buyer at lower pricing, lower profit margin, or you've got to come up. So one of the fundamental mistakes I see with people that are investing is they are not allocating enough into their design and renovation budget. That is a critical thing. Number four is going to be investing into revenue management. One of two different ways. And what I mean by that is, number one, are either going to invest into a program and learn how to do advanced revenue management, or you're going to sink. The second part of this is that you can hire somebody to do revenue management, an expert to do it. This is not something you're going to be able to learn how to do in like 60 days. This takes a good 5-6 months, even up to a year of practicing and testing and doing all these things to understand. It's not just going in and getting your Price Labs account, which I recommend that you do. If you are not using any revenue management, I'm going to drop my Price Labs link down below. I'm a huge Price Labs user and an advocate, and you can get, I think, save like $10 a month or whatever it is by using that link. It is an affiliate link, and I'll get like, I don't know, $10, you know, back in. It's nothing, but you need to learn how to use Price Labs, but you need to get to that expert level. It's not just set it and forget it. You've got to be into that, doing manual revenue management. The number one revenue manager in the industry, in my opinion, he's now doing all of my properties, is Emil Sakal at Pricing by Mira. Emil Sakal at pricingbymira.com. He is the best of the best, and he has literally increased my gross revenue by 11% since he's taken over for myself. And I think I'm one of the probably top 10 in the industry. So I believe in hiring the best. Number 5 is going to be marketing. And there's two sides of this. So we're going to call this 5 and 6, or 5 and 5A. We'll call it 5 and 6. Number 1 is going to be your listing optimization. That starts with what I call Andrew Keller-esque photos. He's the best photographer in the industry. You've got to have great design, and then you need to render that as your marketing piece in your photos. So there's two components, really 3, that come to fruition when you're setting up your listing. Number 1 is going to be super high quality photos that go with your design. Number 2 is going to be the imaging order. And let me talk about that for a second. You always start from the outside in. The outside in, you need your hero shot, your money shot. I talk about this when I'm underwriting a property, when I'm looking at it on Zillow. If I can't see my money shot for that first photo of what I'm going to be using for that first photo, my first Instagram post, the image that I'm going to use in a Facebook ad, then I pass on that property. You got to have the marketability for it. So the image order, you start from the outside in. That's usually going to be a view of the exterior. You know, long range mountain views in the Smokies. If you're down in Destin or 30A, amazing views from your deck of the water. You know, if you're on a river, you know, views up the river into seeing the Rocky Mountains in Montana, like I have at my properties. You've got to be looking for that marketability, right? And then that order image, go through your outdoor images. If you're going to have a geodome, a hot tub, a barrel sauna, mini golf course, whatever that is, show your views, show all those outdoor amenities, then show me the traffic generators. Show me the ski resort, show me the beach, show me Pigeon Forge with all the stuff, Dollywood, whatever that is, then take me inside the front door. And I want you to hold my hand and walk me through the house just like you would showing your husband, your wife, your kids for the very first time. And that means you're going to show them the most valuable assets first. So if the kids know that you bought a place in the Smokies and you put $100,000 into a game room, they're going to want to go see that first. If you have that indoor pool, take them to show that first. You don't just start with the family room and then go to bedroom, bathroom, bedroom, bathroom. Take me on the most exciting and the most valuable components of your property first. Then make sure your laundry room and all that type of stuff is at the very, very back end of your listing. Underneath each one of those images, you need to make sure that you have maxed out all of your copy, all the text. Tell me a story about that individual image. Don't just tell me that there's a king size bed and a 55-inch smart TV. Tell me about the super comfy king size bed with 800 thread count sheets that'll keep you cool and relaxed through after a long day of sipping margaritas and Coronas on the beach, right? Tell me a story about every picture. That's what's going to sell, because we are selling the outcome of what your guest is going to feel. We want them to literally be able to envision themselves in that bed, opening up the curtains, looking out at that white sand beach and the blue crystal water in Destin, Florida. Don't just be technical and tell me about the individual things that are in that room. Now, that's going to be the listing optimization information component inside your images. Then you have your description and you have all the other components. You need to go in and make sure that you maximize every line of copy, even the around the neighborhood, the check-in instructions, all that type of stuff. Don't leave anything untouched with copy, because if you understand how SEO works, that is what Airbnb is really looking for. The second component of this from the marketing side is going to be your off-platform marketing. You need to do at a minimum 3 things, in my opinion, to be able to ascend to the very top level. Number 1 is going to be taking advantage of buy-sell trade groups, not Facebook Marketplace, but identify your top 5 markets of where people are traveling from. Where do they live? Where are they traveling to your property from? So if you look at Destin, Florida as an example, sure, people come from all over, but it's still a heavily trafficked, like 72% of the people are driving into that market from Nashville, from Atlanta, from Charlotte, from Dallas. Those are going to be your top markets. If you don't know what that is based on history of operating there, ask some people inside of my Build Short-Term Rental Wealth group. I've got 33,000 savvy investors in there. We'll put the link down in the description so you can join if you're not a member. And then if you do join, make sure you tag me and say hello in that post and we'll connect personally. But one of the things you can do is you can go to Google Trends and you can type in your city and they will tell you where people are traveling from to come and visit your city as well. So that's number 1. Then you take advantage of those groups, 5 groups. That way you can go in and do 1 post per city, join 10 groups in each city, and you're literally going to be posting to like 50 different groups that have hundreds of thousands of people inside of once every 5 weeks. Don't go in and spam the groups. That's how you're going to get kicked out of it, right? That's why we don't want to do this every week in every single group, and you're going to hit those top 5 markets. The third one, and is a little bit more advanced, you want to take advantage of Facebook ads, literally just $1 a day. And if you target those same 5 cities, and you run Facebook ads at $1 a day, targeting people that are interested in the beach or vacation rentals, then you can drive traffic from that. You combine that with the buy-sell trade groups, and you've got a win-win situation there. If you do have the ability to create content, meaning using this, taking photos, doing short videos when you're on the property or finding somebody in your local market to be able to create some content for you, then I would try to take advantage of Instagram and TikTok. But if you cannot create content on a consistent basis and you're not going to post like almost daily at a minimum 3 to 5 times a week, then I would not waste your time on going down that path. Number 7 is email marketing. The biggest mistake is that they don't create an email list, right? So start building your email list. Take everybody that books with you. You should be getting their emails inside of your PMS. If you're not, I would take a look at marketmystr.com. That's what I use to manage all of my marketing, but they actually have the ability to where you can create QR codes. You know, when they convert, they will go right into the CRM. Then you can have automated email, text messages, all that type of stuff to bring them back for direct bookings. And I've created this whole 365-day direct booking funnel that includes voice drops, text message, email, that you can steal it, copy, paste it, customize it, and you're up and running to create a full year's worth of content to bring them back to be able to book with you. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. Those are a lot of things. If you just pick 1 or 2 of those to implement with your first Airbnb or your next one, you're going to be ahead of your competition. There is no question, but I do not want you to sleep on the design aspect, on the marketing aspect, inside your platform for listing optimization and outside to be able to drive traffic. The people that are scaling to the very top or even above that 90th percentile like myself are taking those 2 extra steps to do the off-platform marketing, and that's where they're driving direct bookings, but also Airbnb and Vrbo bookings as well. If you do want to learn more about this, make sure that you click the link down below, jump into my Build Short-Term Rental Wealth Facebook group. We're delivering free content in there almost every single day of the week, and you've got 33,000 investors just like you to help you on your journey and ask questions and get great feedback. But if you want to see the next video right here above me, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.